we have a very special guest joining me today. He's been a player that I've been super high on since high school. When I first started covering the game of high school basketball, at least, he was up in his junior season going to Oak Hill, and ever since then, I've been high on his game since his Oak Hill years all the way to a single season out at LSU. He's now been in the NBA for a couple of years with Brooklyn Nets. He's one of the most prolific young bucket getters in all of the NBA, and that's Brooklyn Nets guard Cam Thomas. Cam, how you doing today, man? Not much, man. So first and foremost, you're in the middle of an offseason now, and when I think about it, I mean, this is a lot different situation the past couple of years. The first 2 years, you had summer league, rookie adjustment season. Also, you're heading into a team that a lot of people kind of perceived as a championship team. So you had a lot of veterans in front of you. You had Kyrie Irving, you had James Harden the first year. Going into this offseason, is there any difference for you mentality-wise or the way you're approaching it?
No, not really. Just still approaching the same way. Just putting my head down, working, trying to get better as much as I can, working on my body so I can be in great shape. Just approaching every off season the way I've been approaching it.
So you look at this team, and obviously Kyrie Irving is not the addition. We've got to see about a half of his season, but there has to be, at least in some sense, you see Kyrie Irving not there. That's a Hall of Fame first ballot type of guy. James Harden. So
Sure.
on paper, at least, there's a little bit more of an opportunity for yourself now. You head into the year, and obviously, no disrespect to Spencer Dinwiddie, he's a great player and whatnot, but there's more opportunity, at least for minutes. You're also heading into year 3 for yourself now. What
Yeah.
are your expectations now as you head into year 3 for yourself?
Yeah, really just like I said, just keep improving. I don't really have no expectations because you never know what can happen in the season. So I just try to keep my head down and try to play the best as I can because I feel like me playing the best as I can is good enough. So I just want to keep my head down, keep working, keep improving every day as a person and player.
Well, there is one thing I learned, and I was not quite familiar with this before I did some research a little bit more on yourself, but you are obviously born, or you've been raised in America now, but you were born in
Yeah.
Japan. So can you take
Yeah.
us through that a little bit?
Yeah, that's just family being in the military, they got
Mhm.
stationed over there. So I was born over there. I was only there for like a year. I don't really remember much about it.
Mhm.
So, that's just a little good story, good little story, just me being over there for a year, when I was first born.
One interesting thing that a lot of players we see doing now is we know it's World Cup time. I know you got two teammates out there currently playing for Team USA, but there's been
Mhm.
a lot of guys that if their parents or their grandparents or someone, they somehow get citizenship to play for another country, they're trying to play for them in the World Cup or the
Yeah.
Olympics. I have to imagine there's at least an opportunity or way to do that through Japan. Has that been something they've approached you about? Have you had any interest in that? Could we ever possibly see you suit up for Team Japan one day?
Honestly, I haven't a little interested in it.
Mhm.
I think my team has looked into it. I don't really know the details about it, but I think my team has looked into it. But either it's USA or Japan, maybe one of these years in my career I'm looking to play, in the World Cup, Olympics, whatever. So, I just want to, have that door open for either team, honestly.
Mhm.
So, I just want to keep it going.
So the Olympics are next year, and then I know it'd have to be a 2 or 3 year gap until the World Cup comes up again. Is
Yeah.
next year a possibility, or do you think you're kind of just staying locked in for now on this, and maybe later on in your career, will that be 5 years from now, 4 years from now, you could consider that opportunity then?
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, right now I'm not really interested in playing, in the World Cup, Olympics, whatever that is
Mhm,
right now. Maybe like you said, 4 or 5 years down the line, I'll be
mhm.
more interested. But right now, I'm just trying to focus on, the NBA portion, trying to solidify my career there first, and then worry about the other stuff. So I just want to, take it one step at a time, take one goal at a time for myself.
An aspect about your game that is the reason you would even have an opportunity to play for any of those teams would be because you are a great player, but specifically, we know you're a bucket getter. I mentioned you go through every level of your career. That has never
Yeah,
changed. Obviously, roles and stuff has changed, but when you get on a court, you get the ball in your hands. You've got buckets from your freshman season all the way to Oak Hill, becoming the all-time leading scorer out there at a program that, for people that aren't familiar with that, Kevin Durant's
yeah,
played there, Michael Beasley, Brandon Jennings, the list goes on. Carmelo Anthony played, the Jerry Stackhouse. You're their all-time leading scorer, and you did so in only 2 years. You go to LSU, and you
yeah,
probably would have broke some type of records at there, but you only spent 1 year, and you broke freshman records there. You go to Brooklyn. Obviously, the minutes hasn't necessarily been there, but as we saw, when you did get minutes, 3 straight games, youngest player to do so, 40 plus in each one of those.
yeah.
When did this bucket getting mentality come to you? Was that something you truly were born with, or when did you start realizing that you're capable of going into a game and getting buckets at the level in which you do?
I always been kind of born with getting buckets, really. It's
Mm-hmm.
just I just that I gained the mentality, the killer mentality that everybody talks about, the killer can mentality, killer mentality, to
Mm-hmm.
keep scoring, keep going. Because when I was younger, I'm like the type of guy to score 20, and I try to back off, let everybody else do theirs. And then, I had people in my corner like, no, to keep going, you gotta keep killing, keep going. So I was like, yeah, I gotta get that mentality because you need that mentality when you go through high school, college, AAU, and now in the NBA, you gotta have that mentality. So I really like develop my mentality, but I always had the ability to get buckets.
Do you recall when that mentality first came to you? So, like, if we go back, if it was, I mean, I've seen you since high school ball, so I know you were bucket
Yeah,
freshman year, but
yeah, yeah,
wasn't quite familiar or anything like that when you're in middle school. So, do you
yeah,
remember
yeah.
like when that day came? Were you like a young guy playing AAU in elementary, middle school? Or when did that really? Do you kind of recall like, okay, I know I'm a bucket getter now?
Yeah, I really eighth grade. Really
Mhm.
eighth grade. That's when I really knew like, oh yeah, I'm a bucket getter, and I gotta have the mentality to be a bucket getter every day and every game I play in. And then from eighth grade on, I just really just kept going, just kept working on my craft and trying to find different ways to be a better bucket getter than I already was, and I just wanted to keep working on it.
You look at all your scoring records or achievements, whether that be Oak Hill's all-time leading scorer that I mentioned, the great LSU season as a freshman record setter in LSU in the SEC,
Yeah.
your 3-game run at the big with the Brooklyn Nets. What scoring record or achievement milestone, whatever you want to call it, would you say means the most to you or is the craziest to you?
Uh, Obviously, the 40-point games is up there. You can't beat that. That's three in a row. You're in history in NBA for that. But
Mhm.
honestly, just my Oak Hill. I think my Oak Hill is the most impressive to me because I was there 2 years. Most people say yeah, only guys that played 2 years. But in my defense, I'm like, if Coach Steve, shout out Coach Steve Smith.
Mhm.
Most juniors don't really play that kind of minutes and get that kind of opportunity to score their junior year. So I feel like that's just a testament to me and my ability and the confidence he had in me as a player. So I feel like just me having that record at Oak Hill, that's really like up there for me, top one for sure.
This is a story I remember, and then I saw it again when I was doing some research. But when you were going there as a junior, as you mentioned, especially at the prep school levels in a school like Oak Hill or maybe ING Montverde, as you said, guys that are not seniors don't necessarily get a lot of minutes, or at least the ball in the hands a lot.
Yeah,
You
for
went
sure.
out there and you joined a team with a few guys that people are familiar with. One guy specifically, though, Cole Anthony. He's the guy that at that point in time was debatably, if not the number one player in the country. That
Right,
was
right.
his team. And I read a story that you got to a point in the season where Cole said, you know what? I'm going to give the ball over to Cam. Now I'm still going to be a part of this team. I'm still going to do my thing. However,
Mhm.
for us to win, Cam's got to have the ball in his hands. So can you take us through that? Was that a conversation that he had with Coach Smith and that you were aware of, or just take us through that?
I feel like we had that conversation before like our season even got started. We was playing the preseason games and then some of the games at the beginning. He
Mhm.
seen he seen how talented I was and how great I could score. And then that year he was more focused on trying to get the triple doubles and just showing everybody that he's a all around point guard. Going coming into the league, going to UNC, showing he could be that all around point guard who can get triple doubles, defend, score two, rebound, just everything. So I feel like that was really like a good match for me to get my name out there so that I get buckets on any level, against anybody, and then him showing his ability to play all around. So um I feel like we kind of established that at the very beginning, but it just
Mhm.
came out later on during the middle of the year, about how, I guess he deferred to me
Mhm.
offensively because, I mean, I was the leading scorer on the team and then he was trying to be the true point guard on the team. So I feel like it really just worked out both ways for us.
That is a mentality that is kind of rare for high school guys. I think when you talk about high
Yeah, yeah,
schoolers, a lot of guys just don't necessarily understand the full game yet. There's so much
yeah, yeah,
pressure on high schoolers, and it just keeps coming more and more. When you talk about overtime stuff, you talk about the rankings. It's really a mentality that I think is unfortunate an aspect for some guys, where it's got to be all about yourself. Not a lot of
yeah,
guys like to take that sacrifice. So
for
when you
sure.
see a guy of Cole's caliber decide to take a backseat role in a sense, what did you learn from that?
Just, I mean, I really learned that it's just him as a person, really. He was all about winning that year. He was all about winning. He was all about, doing whatever for the team to win. Because that's, just how everybody say, the team wins, everybody wins. So it's
Mhm.
just, I feel like that's just testament to him. And honestly, he's really a big part in me being the five-star player that I became at Oak Hill, getting ranked high, playing all the big time games, just because he sacrificed his scoring. Because I think in EYBL the EYBL that year, he
Mhm.
was the leading scorer,
Yep.
and I was like fourth or fifth or something like that. And then I averaged 25, 30. I've been cool with it, but he wanted to take a back seat to me offensively and let me do the scoring, and he can do the other things for the team. So that was just a huge testament to him as a person and player. So I can't thank him enough for that.
Before you went to Oak Hill, you did a unique thing as well, and I know I read about it too, that you and your mom decided to sit out your sophomore year. I know there was some kind of dispute or whatever with the coaches or whatever, but that's not a thing that typically is done, at least in this era. We see a lot of people say, you know what, we need to be playing basketball 24/7, games all the time. There's no sitting out. And you decided to say, you know what, we're going to take a back seat for a season. I'm just going to work on my game, practice. What led to that decision, and how much did that end up benefiting you long term?
Yeah, what really led to it was just that I knew that I was playing AAU, so I knew that I still had basketball to play. I didn't take the entire year off, so I just wanted to, whatever happened with my high school, that's, it is what it is. But I just wanted to, keep working on my game, just work on everything, get stronger, and just get ready for the UIBL because I was 16. Well, yeah, 16 playing up to the
Mhm.
17s that year, so I had to, just be ready for that because that's where the college coaches everything. 17s, EYBL is like no other, so you gotta be ready. So I knew I had that in my back pocket. And then honestly, just I mean, it's really benefited me just the way I work now, just knowing how to get ready for a certain season, knowing when to prepare, when to do certain stuff, my routine. So I feel like that really helped me out a lot for sure.
So you look at all the different levels in which you've been getting buckets at. When we talk about at Oak Hill, you play constantly high level prep schools, top players. You go to college, same thing. EYBL, same thing. NBA. As I mentioned, you scored at a high level each and every single stage. At each level, though, who would you say was the best defender? Now, obviously, you still put up buckets and it didn't necessarily matter to you, but who was the toughest defender at the high school level, the college level, and now the NBA level for you?
Um, Honestly, for me personally, coming up through, it was more like the team defenses. It wasn't out because in
Mm-hmm.
high school, AAU and all that, I never really saw just one-on-one anymore. So I feel like I was really just, I mean, it's a compliment to me, but I never really had like a one-on-one ISO every time in high school, and AAU, and college. So it was more like the team defenses. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody game plan for me. So that was really it. The NBA, I don't really play much, but when I do play, when I get like a lot of minutes,
Mm-hmm.
um, that's a good question. I feel like the Bulls play good defense on me when I had the 3 40-point games, and then we had that fourth game, and I only had 20 because I was struggling a little bit. I feel like they played good defense on me that game. Pat Williams, Caruso, all those guys played pretty solid defense on me that game. So I mean, it is what it is.
During that streak, you had 40 points against the Phoenix Suns. And in that game was soon to be your future teammate, Mikal Bridges. He's obviously regarded, and rightfully so, as one of the best 3-and-D guys. Have you guys gone back and forth about that at all, talking about how you got 40 points on him yet?
Oh no, no, not at all. That was just me being locked in on my
Mm-hmm.
on my streak. And then, I never would have thought he would have got traded there, but it was crazy. I was like, oh, and we just played him like
Mm-hmm.
2 days ago. We just played him like 2 days ago, and then and then my teammates now. But no, we haven't really talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm pretty sure that they respected my game after that. So it was really just, a blessing in disguise, really.
So he was on the Paul George podcast about a week or two ago, and those two were both chopping up about you. They got into your bucket getting ability, your game, and how much they like about you. But Mikal brought up an interesting part because he discussed that when you go through practice, those shots that you shoot in games, you're practicing them all, and you're not every single shot you shoot is the same. I mean, you switch it up a lot. You've got all kinds of different stuff in your bag.
Mhm.
When you talk about practicing and you work on these shots, and when we do see in a game, it's like, why is he shooting that? How is he capable of getting that off? Take us through your practice mentality. Like, what is there on the table for you? Like, when you get into a gym, where do you draw the line in terms of what you want to do, what you're capable of doing, and just how much creativity you're going to allow yourself to get out there and do?
Yeah, just me coming up through my career, I really try to be as creative as possible
Mm-hmm.
because really, you're not really gonna have the same looks every time because a lot of guys and a lot of coaches watch film on you and know like your tendencies, what you're capable of. So me personally, I just try to mix it up so nobody really knows like, oh, when he's pulling up or he like raises up from this shot pocket so we can be on there his shot pocket. So I just try to mix it up as much as possible. And then just the aspect of me working on it, I really got that from my mom because we when I was younger, she'll be like, if you're not gonna work on it, don't do it in the game. So I was like, all right, I just gotta work on it here, and I can do it in the game. So I really just try to work on it as much as possible. And once it gets consistent for me to make it over and over, whether it's across my body like this, I'm over my head, whatever it is, somebody on me, draped on me, I just try to make it as much as possible. So once it gets consistent in the gym, and then I try in the game. So if you see me trying the game, that means I worked on it and it's consistent.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I can make it.
There's a lot of different guys that you could say you take pieces from, just from your scoring ability at least. But I know there's one guy above everyone else that you have been very vocal about. And anytime you look up anything about yourself, everyone talks about your love for Kobe Bryant. So
Hmm.
you gotta take us to that love. Obviously, you're not the only guy that loves him, but I feel like there's a little bit different kind of following and love and passion for Kobe and his game and who he was in you. So when did you really start to fall in love with his game?
For sure. I really don't. I mean, I guess I fell in love when I was younger, but I
Mhm.
really know like when I was actually watching the game and understanding the game and what was going on was in 2008, his MVP season in
Mhm.
2008. So that's when I really started to understand basketball, know what he was doing, try to copy him, and I wanted to be like him, honestly. So I feel like from that point on, that's when my love for Kobe and trying to get to the NBA level really started. So really just that, and then his moves, his mentality, everything. Even at that young age, I was trying to do all his mannerisms and stuff.
Mhm.
Same gear he had on, like it was just everything. So, so he's really a big influence on why I wanted to become an NBA player.
If you could pick the biggest thing that you've taken away from him, rather that be his mentality, a move, whatever it might be, what would you say that is?
Just the mentality, really. Just the
Mhm.
mentality. Just I mean, with anything, where there's media on you, you don't pay it no mind. You keep going because the media don't see you working on it, and the media don't really know like what you're going through or none. So like sometimes media just don't know what's going on. They're just like putting stuff out just so they can have something else. So I really learned that from them. Just don't pay nothing like that in your mind. Then obviously just having that mentality to keep going. He never had a mentality to settle, and that's really the main thing that I really got from him. Just don't settle for nothing. Don't settle less than what you are capable of giving. That's really the main thing for me.
There is a funny aspect about you, and that's the fact that I don't think you necessarily even tried to, but there's been countless times in your brief NBA career already that you've made it viral. You've made memes of yourself, whatever it might be.
Yeah,
One of
yeah,
which was in the midst of that 40-point streak. You obviously broke LeBron's record, and you made your comment saying about, well, I'm not really a
yeah, yeah,
LeBron guy, I'm a Kobe guy.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
don't think
yeah,
you even
yeah.
intended that to go viral. Now you have that. This
Nah,
is
not at all.
there's your Steve Nash moment during the summer league. We know that aspect. I think that was after the second year. You had a
Hmm.
fine, obviously, at one point. You have your branding that you've now done. When you
Hmm.
look at all these, like, do you ever intend to expect something to go viral or be funny, or does you just end up happening, and then by the time you get back on your phone, you're like, oh, this already just went down, dang.
Bro, that's crazy. No, not at all. No, because even with my brand, like when a random person asks me because random people always see like, oh, he's so serious, and I'm
Hmm.
just like, bro, and then I say it all the time, like I say it no matter what, and I
Hmm.
said it at one time and it blew up, and I was just like, I mean, I said it, I've been saying it every time, like somebody asks me that,
Hmm.
so that blew up, and then the Kobe thing, I was just being honest. I mean, it's no disrespect to LeBron. Obviously, I
Yeah.
love looking at LeBron playing stuff like that. He's done a lot for the game and stuff. But it's just me being a fan of basketball, me growing up with Kobe. Just my love for Kobe is like unmatched. So really that part. So really everything I say, I'm just like, I mean, I'm not really intending to go viral. I'm just speaking what's on my mind at that point. So if it goes viral, it goes viral.
Which one of the things that's happened so far, maybe even one that I've not listed yet, was the most surprising to you? Like, by the time you got on your phone, maybe even someone else came and told you about it, where you're like, dang, that really went viral?
Uh, the branding,
Hmm.
my brand. Honestly, I was never expecting that to go viral because I always said it. I always said the same thing, no matter what somebody asked me. That I always said it, and never went viral before. And then that one particular day, I woke up, and then the very next day, or a few hours later, I don't really remember because we was playing Philly when I said it. We was playing Philly, and then when I said it, it took off, and I was like, oh man, I was not expecting that at all.
There is another aspect about you that I've always appreciated, and that's been, I don't know if it necessarily would be an underdog mentality because it's not like you were per se a guy that was not a ranked player and you had a low major and you made
Yeah,
your way to the NBA. But at the same point, I feel like you've been disrespected a lot throughout your career. We go all the way out to
yeah,
college, and you were the very first year, like I said, covering the McDonald's America and whatnot. You didn't make that, and that was something that I was vocal about. I was shocked. And from that point on, I have not really respected the McDonald's American
yeah.
process just because we talk about your resume. All-time leading scorer Oak Hill, and they don't put you on a, was it 24-man roster. That was shocking to me. You go out
Right.
to LSU, lead the SEC in scoring, the most points in SEC in what was it, 40 some years. You do
Hmm.
incredible out there, and obviously you still were a first round pick, but I had you graded as a top 10 player in the class. And so you fall
Yeah.
out to the Brooklyn Nets at 27, I believe. Then you obviously talk about the NBA, and you've shown that you're capable of playing in the summer league. You've shown you're capable of playing at the NBA level. the minutes
Mhm.
have fluctuated a little bit. So has all those things inspired you, motivated you, or what is necessarily your mentality when it comes to a lot of those aspects?
Just keep having a chip on my shoulder. Just staying motivated. Not really getting too tied into that. Yes. So obviously with the McDonald's thing, I was pretty upset the first day because obviously I worked hard and I feel like I was real deserving of a spot. But we had a game I think the next day or two, so that was right for my mind. I just wanted to show, and I just wanted to go out there and show that they made a mistake. And then I think I had like 30, 35 or 30 something the first game. And then I had like 51 the second game because
Mm-hmm.
the coach left me in longer. And then really just, the LSU thing, I feel like I was real deserving of player of the year, freshman of the year, whatever, but it is what it is. I guess it was just, situation, team winning or something like that. I feel like, but thing about that, we was winning. It was like third in the conference and we had a great record. So,
Yep.
I don't really know really why, I feel like it's a lot of disrespect, but I just keep my head down, keep working because, the big thing I say all the time is that my peers know how talented I am and what I bring to the table, and they respect my game, honestly. So that's really the
Mm-hmm.
main thing that I care about.
And that's a great point because I mentioned a little bit earlier, Paul George was raving about your game. Mikal Bridges raved about your game. Kevin Garnett has raved about your game. The list goes on. So when you
Mhm.
do get the attention from other people and they realize that, man, this kid can play, he's a legit player, what kind of confidence, or does that even provide any confidence or kind of assertion about how good you are capable of being and just your level of play?
No, it's just like I wouldn't say a pat on the back, but it's like a sign of like, my work is paying off and that my peers at this level see what I'm capable of and they respect my game being so young, going to my
Mhm.
third year, last year being my second year, and they were saying how talented I am, how much of a bucket I am at only 21 years old, my second year in the league. And those are like great players like KG, Hall of Fame player,
Yep.
Paul George, Hall of Fame player. Mikal could come into his own being a star on our team. And then, like for us to have the two guys, take me under the wing, KD, Kyrie, them to respect my game and stuff. So that's really, I'd probably say the biggest thing for me is as long as my peers respect me at this level, that's all I care about. That's like a big sign of like, your work is paying off.
And that's the crazy thing because you talked about going in there to a Brooklyn team when you got drafted. This was a team that was the favorite to win a championship. And that was the one
Hmm.
thing. At first, when I was like, man, he's falling this far down, that's crazy. It's shocking to me. But then I looked at the team they're going
Yeah.
to. And I'm like, well, I know he's a bucket getter. Now he's going to be able to be mentored by debatably three of the best scorers, offensive players of all time, period.
Hmm.
And Kevin
Yeah.
Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden. So when you were going through that draft, and I have to imagine that still getting drafted was a huge experience. That was amazing for
Yeah.
yourself. I'm sure you
Yeah.
probably want to go a little bit higher too, but still, when
Mhm.
you sat back and you're like, hold up, I'm going to Brooklyn. I got these guys I'm going to go learn from. I have a chance to potentially compete for a championship. What went through your mind at that point?
Yeah, obviously, I expected I expected to go way higher than what I
Mhm.
did. So I feel like that was really like a big slide for me in the draft. I don't know what happened or anything like that. I wasn't even, because I was expecting to go way higher than that.
Mhm.
But when you sit back, evaluate, and just look at the situation, I was like, oh, this is a great situation too, because you can learn from those guys because they have a lot of knowledge they give to me being a rookie, and I got like a lot of years left in this game to give. So them passing their knowledge down to me, is a really big thing for me, and I can't thank them enough for that. And I just want to put it to use, in these years. So I can't thank those guys enough, and those are my brothers.
On draft night, you mentioned that you thought you were going to go a lot higher. I mentioned I had you going, I think I had you at 8 or 9 when I had my top 10 board. When
Hmm.
you talk about that night, did you have any expectation of possibly going down, like maybe even during the draft or somewhat? Did your agent or someone can kind of tell you, okay, we think this could happen, or where were you kind of expecting or thinking you might be landing that night?
I kind of had the impression I was going to go between 11 and 15. Well, no,
Mhm.
my bad. 11 and 20 to the Lakers.
Mhm.
At 20, but was probably like the last spot I was told. And then, they traded their pick for Russ. So that was like a big thing. I was like, oh man. Because, because the thing with Brooklyn, they see me work out in LA. They see me work out in LA. And I interviewed with them the day before or like 2 days before, the draft. So it was just, just touching up, meeting everybody.
Mhm.
Because because honestly, I wasn't expecting to get picked there. Honestly, I wasn't even expecting to get picked there. I was expecting to be no later than 20 to the Lakers,
Mhm.
from what I was told. So that's really the main thing.
That's interesting because I've heard draft stories from a few other guys. I think Carrisware had a similar story in terms of when he went out there, he was sliding. Jared Allen's another guy, Claxton. A lot of those
Hmm.
guys, they didn't get meetings with the Brooklyn Nets, or at least seriously consider
Yeah,
them until the day before that morning, even though I think it was one of those guys' stories. And that just kind
yeah,
of shows, I mean, Sean Marks knows how to identify talent in the draft. He's done an
yeah,
incredible job. I mean, when he took over the Brooklyn Nets, that was a dumpster fire of a team at that point in time, and he
yeah,
rebuilt them to where they are. He's landed so many guys that should have been when we redo a draft. You see, whenever when people redo those drafts, we see these guys flying up the boards again. You're one
yeah,
of those
yeah,
guys now in that
yeah,
situation.
for
So when you
sure.
just talk about a guy like Sean Marks, take us through your guys' relationship. How close are you guys? How often do you guys talk? What's it like just being around him?
Yeah, I feel like it's a good relationship. He knows talent. That's the main thing. You got to put players on the team that can help. And I feel like he's
Mhm,
done a great job of that, identifying players in certain roles. So I feel like he's one of the best at his job. And,
mhm,
and I'm glad that he's our GM, honestly. So we're in a good spot. We have a good place to go and good place to build on, for years to come. Because I feel like he got Claxton. You see a Claxton. Claxton's can be an
mhm.
all-star type center.
Yep.
Because I think he was like fourth or fifth in defensive player of the year voting or
Mhm.
something like that. That's big time. So really just identifying talent, really. So, he's a great GM.
I want to go a little bit deeper in Claxton because he's been a guy that I've been super high on. I was shocked when he fell the second round. I had him also as I think it was number 9 or 10 that year in that draft, and I've always said I was
Yeah,
super high on him. And then
yeah,
last year, I feel like to be honest, he was disrespected in the voting poll. He was a
for
favorite to win
sure.
Defensive Player of the Year, and I
Yeah,
understand obviously no more Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. The tension kind of is off you, but the fact
yeah,
that
yeah.
impacted voting was obnoxious to myself because he should have at least been an All Defensive Player. That blows my mind that he was not on one
Yeah,
of
no
those
question.
teams.
No question. Should have been first team, no doubt. No question.
Absolutely. And so when you look at his game, and I think he's gonna make another jump. We've been seeing some
Yeah,
clips. I know it's not game action per se, but we've been seeing some clips of some jump shots. If he has that into his arsenal, I mean, we're talking like you mentioned, all-star potential. So
no doubt.
what's his talent level like? How high is his ceiling?
Oh, it's high, because Claxton is a
Mm,
great defender. And the main thing, really, I guess, and even he'll tell you is the free throws. I think if he
yeah.
knocks down at least 60, 70% of his free throws, that's better. That's way better than, instead of like 12 points or whatever he had, that could be like 15, 16.
Yep.
So that's really the main thing with Clax. But Clax super talented, finish both hands, and guard the perimeter, guard the paint, and and he's made a way big jump from when I came in to now. So that's really
Yep.
the main thing. So that's really a big thing.
I,
His ceiling is unmatched. Okay.
I want to go back a little bit to LSU because you were coached by a guy in Will Wade who did an incredible job out there. And I know it might be a little controversial, but he obviously had that season with you guys. He was in the midst of another great season. He gets let go, and obviously at that point, okay, we don't know what's going on. We know all this investigation stuff's happening, so anything could have happened to these coaches, and they
Mm-hmm.
decide to move on, part ways. Okay, it is what it is. Now we come out and we see the suspension really wasn't even that significant. I believe it was 5 or something games at his
Yeah,
new program. So when
yeah,
you look at that, how do you feel about the way LSU handled the situation with Will Wade? Because he obviously was a great coach. He built that program up to being a team that I would have been shocked if they were not an annual top 25 type team.
for
How did you
sure.
kind of feel about that situation?
I feel like the school handled it the best way they could.
Hmm.
I mean, it was only so much they could do. Their hands were tied, really. So I feel like that's really the main thing. But I love LSU. I love Coach Wade. I still talk to him here and there when I have the opportunity to. He comes to some games here and there
Hmm.
when I'm near like Louisiana or something. He'll try to come out to a game or something or like wherever I am. So we still have a great relationship. So you know. So that's really the big thing with me. I love Coach Wade. I love LSU. So I don't really have nothing to say on that, really.
Your college recruitment came down to two schools, UCLA, LSU. What was the differentiating factor between LSU and UCLA? Why did you choose them over UCLA?
Yeah, just my relationship with Wade, honestly. He
Hmm.
had a great relationship with my mom. Because me being an Oak Hill, he can't really call me all kinds of ways. I got no signal, so he was really like in contact with my mom every day. She'll tell me, text me or something, and be like, like she was talking to Wade all the time, every day. So that's really the main thing. But the crazy thing is just that I mean, UCLA was like right there because Cronin's a great coach. What he did at Cincinnati, and I knew he'll turn around UCLA as we seen. A powerhouse again. That's really the main thing. So I feel like they were like neck and neck, but I feel like my relationship with Wade was much closer and more like and more. together than I was with UCLA. So like, and plus I kind of knew what I was getting into. You know, Cronin being a new coach, I didn't really know what I was getting into. Instead of like with LSU, I knew what I was getting into. He'd been there, you
Mhm.
know. So that's really the main thing.
You kind of hinted at something about Oak Hill, and that's that you guys don't have necessarily the best reception out there, so you couldn't talk to a lot of
Yeah.
people. And I've interviewed quite a few guys at Oak Hill, and I know the story always typically, we can't really do it until we're off campus somewhere else. So can you take us to that?
Mhm.
Because I don't think people realize when they talk about prep schools, people don't really watch them
Yeah.
until they're on ESPN or whatnot.
Yeah.
Oak
Yeah.
Hill is unique. It ain't in Florida. It's not in LA, whatever it might be. Like you guys are in a
Mm.
place that doesn't have a lot of reception, out in the pretty much
For
middle
sure.
of nowhere. Can you
Yeah.
take us through living like that for 2 years?
Yeah, it's tough, especially when you first get there. It's tough. You know, your
Mhm.
first, probably say your first month, you're gonna feel like you're ready to go home. You want to leave, go back home. So, because that's how I felt my junior year, my first month. Because it's tough. But then once that first month ends, you're on the road. You're playing games all the time. You're playing home games, and we're flying somewhere, play somewhere. We're doing something. We always got games. We're like 30, 40 games in a season. So that's
Yep.
really so that really like takes your mind off being there as much because you're just practicing school, then go play. So that's really the main thing.
You had a teammate at LSU who you've just not been reunited with in Trenton. He's coming in for a
Yeah.
training camp deal. Can you take us to that a
Mhm.
little bit? Like, how excited are you to have him back with you now?
Oh, it's cool. It's just, having somebody around that I play with.
Mhm.
I played with him before, so he's a talented player. Can dribble, pass,
Mhm.
rebound. He can do everything on the court. Really, he can do everything. Shoot. So I'm just being that Swiss Army knife for us. Really, that's really a big thing. So I'm excited to play with him. He makes the game easier for me as a scorer. So that's really a big thing. So I can't wait to play with him again.
You two went through a very unique experience because that was the season after the COVID situation. So you guys have a tournament that I don't think we're ever going to see again. You guys had to go into a bubble. And I've
Yeah.
heard stories that didn't sound like the most fun. I know there was about a 48-hour quarantine in your hotel room by yourself. Then you got to
Yeah.
go out
Yeah.
and play. But you got to take us to that experience because this is around COVID time. It's not a
Yeah.
typical basketball experience whatsoever. What was the
Mhm.
bubble situation like when you came to the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, it was just, it was crazy. Because it was like when you get in, you can't leave. You can't leave your room. It was crazy. You couldn't even leave to go in the hallway. It felt like you can't even go get food. Really, it was just crazy. You had to go from point A to point B. You can't do nothing. You couldn't go out, walk. Couldn't do nothing. So it was like as soon as we had a game, you're in your room the whole time. We had
Mhm.
practice. You come back, you're in your room the whole time. You just gotta sacrifice it. It was tough, really. You trapped in a room all day until you gotta go play. And then you play late at night some games. You play middle of the day some games. So you was just chilling all day until that time. So it was tough, but it is what it is.
So I believe, like I said, it was 48 hours, 2 days straight of being in your room when you first got there. I don't
Yeah,
think too many people want to say they want to be stuck in a hotel room for 48
right.
hours. So how
Exactly.
did you get through that time?
I mean, they had like a little smart TV, so just watch Netflix and sleep the whole time. That's really the only thing you could do, Netflix and sleep. So that's really the main thing, honestly. That's all I did.
But at the same time, you got to get in the mentality because you're playing on the biggest stage in all college basketball. You're getting ready to play a
Exactly.
basketball game. And I don't think
Exactly.
too many people out there are going to advise the guys to take 2 full days off of basketball to go play in a game. So
Literally.
how did you get your mentality in the right place? How did you get your ability to go out there and play? Because you still went out there and balled out 57 points in your 2 games in the tournament.
hmm
How did you stay ready, even though you pretty much were put in the most impossible situation to stay ready?
Yeah, just me being locked in and knowing, what was at stake, because everybody knows the tournament is a big thing and you got to perform in the tournament. So that's really
Yeah.
the main thing for me. And then obviously we had practice like 2, 3 days. So we can kind of get like a little rhythm again playing.
Mhm.
But I mean, we were struggling at the beginning of our first game. It's just,
Yeah.
I guess jitters or something, or just, being off for a while, just being off for a little minute. But that was really the main thing, just knowing what's at stake and knowing what could happen. And I went out there and showed that, I could play on the biggest stage as well. We played St. Bonnie's, had a great
Mhm.
game. And then we played Michigan. We was right there and took to the end. So I feel like, just going out there and knowing like what's at stake and knowing what I need to accomplish for my goal to go to the league. And I feel like I did that.
That's when I officially was sold on you. I knew you were going to be an NBA prospect and whatnot that year, but when I decided to put you as a top 10 player was after you go through all those mental struggles and battles you might have to go through because of the COVID bubble, and you go out there and
Mhm.
drop 57 points in 2 games. That's another type of record right there. That's not easy to do. And even if it's in a normal stage, I mean, we're talking about March
Right.
Madness legends, 57 points in 2 games. You maybe get some Jimmer Fredette type stuff in that situation, but you go out there, you put up those numbers. How were you able to go out onto that stage, March Madness, the world's watching you, and you put up that type of display as a freshman in the March Madness tournament?
Yeah, just trusting my work,
Mhm.
trusting my work honestly, and just staying confident. You may struggle in the tournament game. The defense is tougher. Defense is more locked in on you, but you just got to trust your work and stay locked in because everything can take a turn real fast in a game. All I gotta do is win one game at a time. So I just want to stay locked in, just stay true to my work, and just trust myself no matter what, whether I was struggling or not. I just want to stay true to myself and trust my work.
So do you ever surprise yourself? Is there ever a time you go out on the court and you're like, sheesh, I just put up this much points. I just did this. Like, is there ever a time you walk away from a game just kind of shocked at how good you just performed?
Um, I probably say really just being at Oak Hill some games. Some games I go out there, especially my senior year, I started rebounding more. And
Mm.
like some games I have like 30 and 10. And I think one game we played in the Bojangles badge, I had like 42 points, 15 rebounds. I feel like that game really surprised me the most because I had 42 and 15 as a guard. So I feel like that's probably the main game. I'm like, yeah, I'd be like just at 42 and 15. At 42 and 15 on Oak Hill. So it was crazy. That's probably the main game. I'm like, yeah, I surprised myself at that one.
I know we've been talking about this bucket getting mentality for a while now, but another situation involving that has been the Summer League. You are a Summer League legend. You have the most
Mhm.
points ever averaged in the Summer League. You also have the second most points ever averaged throughout a Summer League time span. So
Mhm.
you go out there and you're playing the Summer League your first time around. You're a rookie and you go out on the stage and you average 27 points plus. What was that first Summer League experience like for yourself?
Yeah, it was great. Just being a rookie, you're getting a first taste of NBA basketball. That's everybody's first chance to show the world, like, okay, we're capable of playing on this level, and that's why I wanted to
Mhm.
show. Especially being a later draft pick, I got to show a little more. So that was really the main thing, just me going out there and showing that I can score on this level as well, and just produce as much as I can. And then my second year, I mean, that just happened. I wasn't even trying to score that many points because Steve at the time, our coach, he wanted me to be more of like the point guard role. So that's what I was really trying to work on and stuff. So me scoring that many points, it just happened. That's just me playing. So that's really the main thing.
I mentioned it when I talked about the meme part earlier, but there is a moment I got to ask you about. I'm not sure if you've explained it off
Yeah,
before, but we know
yeah,
that
yeah,
you're getting interviewed after the game and she's asking a couple different questions and you kind of just do the laugh, roll your eyes type of situation. Can you take us through that a little bit? Like, was there any other
yeah.
meaning towards that? Just what all went down with that reaction?
No, I wasn't no meaning towards it because I mean, I feel like she worded it wrong, or like she worded it wrong, and then like made it seem like he was like attacking me
Mm.
some more. Because I feel like I was passing that game. I was getting everybody involved. I had like 7, 8 assists that game. And I
Mhm.
think and I think the way she worded it was like he still wants to see this. I'm like, oh, I already showed that, so that's why the reaction showed how it was. But I didn't mean no mean behind it. I was just looking like, okay, cool.
So it was more so directed towards her question as opposed to Steve Nash then?
Yeah, 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 for sure, for sure. 'Cause I'm just like I was passing, like I was getting everybody involved. I was making an extra pass, passing the open
Mhm.
guy, getting the threes up. If I one more for three that game, I was really playmaking that game. So I feel like it was just more towards her question than the coach.
When you look at your two coaches now, you have two coaches throughout your career in the NBA. Steve Nash the first year and 7 games, whatever it was, and then obviously Jock Vaughn since then. What's the
Mhm.
difference between the two coaches, just for you personally, like not as a team aspect, but in terms of you, your relationship, the way you guys get along, whatever it might be? Like, how would you say the two compare?
They're pretty similar. I feel like everybody's different in their own way.
Hmm.
So you know, JV's more of the how can I put it? Like he's more of the players coach. He wants the guys to interact. During the walkthrough. Put our input on it. See what we go through. See how we feel about it. And then Steve is more. I feel like Steve's more offensive minded, as far as like drawing up plays, getting us in sets. Timeouts, have a play drawn up for us and stuff. I feel like Steve is more offensive minded, and JV's a little bit more defensive minded in that aspect. So I feel like, but as far as them coaching styles and everything, it's pretty similar. Same system and all that stuff. Everything's pretty similar.
When we look at the win-loss record, obviously Steve Nash had a great record, and I know people go out and say, well, of course he had Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons,
Yeah,
Steve or Harden for a little bit. Jacque Vaughn in the same
yeah,
situation, but there really was kind of a culture change to some extent, I have to imagine, at least when Steve Nash gets
Yeah,
let
yeah,
go. Jacques Vaughn, obviously, he was already with the team, so he just kind of comes right up on in. And you guys all of a sudden have a great winning record, and we'll get into a little bit deeper what all happens there. But I think it was 18 out of 20, 21 games, whatever you guys
yeah,
won. You guys were looking great again. You guys looked like the team that was
yeah,
expected to win a championship.
for sure, for sure.
So how did Jacques Vaughn create that? Was that just a necessary change that needed to happen for the locker room to get going again? Was it just Jacques Vaughn is that much better of a coach and you just kind of changed everything around? Or what exactly led to that shift during the season?
Yeah, it was just we were going through a transition, coaching change, and then he was
Mhm.
just he was just being honest with us and just letting us play, and then like midway, I feel like we went on that hot streak, and it was just us playing together, sticking together in the locker room, and just knowing what we can accomplish as a team. And everybody was playing well. TJ, K, Kyrie, everybody was playing well. So everybody contributed during that streak. It was just a big thing for us. So I feel like it was just him bringing the locker room together because I feel like we did need that change in the locker room because everybody was kind of like all over the place at first. Like
Mhm.
our first 4 or 5 games, we was like 1-4 or 1-5 or something like that, 2-5. I don't really remember. So I feel like we did need that change a little bit, and it helped
Mhm.
us.
So I want to go into your rookie season a little bit more. You get out there and you're a rookie, and like I said, you're playing on this contending team. And you
Hmm.
got not just Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Kevin Durant. You got other guys that are established veterans. Goran Dragic comes in midway through the season. Patty Mills is there from the beginning. Paul Millsap, Joe
Yeah,
Harris, even Blake Griffin is there. Obviously not your position, Andre Drummond, but these are guys that
yeah, for sure.
have been all stars. They're guys that have won championships. They're
Yeah,
guys that have been established. Marcus Aldridge joined that team. These are some
yeah,
guys that you growing up, you've seen these guys perform at a high level.
yeah,
So, and you got all kinds of these guys. So when you head into the season, I know as a player, your mentality is always, okay, I want to be the best. I'm the best. That's your mentality. But I mean, I'm sure there had to be things like, okay, wow, these guys are much older than me. These guys are established. We're ready to win. Did you, in the back of your mind, kind of say, okay, I know this might not be a season in which spot, or how did you kind of approach your rookie season?
No, I always approach it as far as earning my spot. I always try to
Hmm.
earn my spot, no matter what happens, whether the coach decides to play me or not. I always try to approach it as I'm going to earn my spot, no matter what. I'm gonna play hard and training camp and show what I can do as far as scoring the ball, doing anything, so I can earn my spot to be in the rotation. So whatever the coach decides to play me or not, that's on him. But I know that I showed that I could play in training camp and show I could play from the beginning, from the get go. So I really try to approach it as me trying to earn my spot no matter what. Every year trying to earn my spot as best as I can. And if the coach decides to play me, he does. If he don't, he don't. I just know that, I put my best foot forward. So that's really the main thing.
You got to go up and practice, like I said, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Kevin
Yeah.
Durant. And those are guys, like I said, pretty much I think you'd throw in Steph Curry in that category, Chris Paul maybe. And you'd say the
Mhm.
guys that most people would say are the best offensive players or guys, hardest guys to go against one on one, most creative players. Who would you say you got at least three of those guys now you've got to go up against in practice for at least 6 months to a year, 2 years, whatever it might be? Who was the
Mhm.
toughest guy out of all three of them to go and guard just in terms of their offensive display and abilities?
Yeah, when we play, really, I think they're all difficult guard in their own way. As far as
Mhm.
KD being 7 foot, you're not contesting his shot, so you
Mhm.
just gotta try to get it down low as best as you can. But once he rises up, there's nothing you can do. You're gonna foul him or he's just gonna make it.
Mhm.
But really, Kai, because Kai is shifty, quick, fast, can finish both hands, shoot over you, post you. He's just so skilled, and I learned so much from him. So I feel like for the guard aspect, as far as like being a guard in the league, I feel like Kai is way hard. It's way harder to
Mhm.
guard than most guards. But KD is hard to guard for like the guards that get switched on him because you're not blocking it, and then he's too quick and too shifty for the wings and bigs that try to guard him. So he can just get by you, get to his pull up and whatever. So I feel like those two are probably the hardest to guard in the league.
I talked about all the different veterans in the locker room, and you could also add in Spencer Dinwiddie now because he's been your teammate too
Yeah,
at the guard spot. Which
yeah,
guy would you say has taken you under their wing the most and really has been the biggest help for you throughout your young career in the NBA so far?
yeah. Kyrie,
Mhm.
Kyrie for sure. Me and Kyrie are real close.
Mm.
We was playing a game together. On the road, we always send by each other on the plane when he was there. We always sit by each other, and I feel like Kyrie really took me under his wing, really, but KD did too. So I can't really,
Mm.
both of them really. We always was close, especially my rookie year with KD, because Kyle was out here and there, then he came
Yeah.
back middle of the year. So I feel like my rookie year was really KD. He really took me on his wing a lot. I appreciate him for that. We still talk now and stuff like that.
Mm.
And then, Kyle really took me under my second year, this past year when he was there. We really got close. I really got to know him. So I really got to know KD my rookie year. I got to know Kyle my sophomore year. So that's really, a big thing for me.
What's the biggest thing you've learned from Kevin Durant? The biggest thing you learned from Kyrie?
Uh, just work, man. Just,
Mm.
the work all pays off. But then, the thing about them, well, really Kai. Well, I mean, both of them really. I'm not just gonna say both. It's
Mm.
just that they play the game, and then that's done. They don't dwell on it because so many games, and so many games to play. So like whether they play good, bad, whatever, they're just like, we got. I'm gonna just say, 50 more. We got 50
Hmm.
more games left. It's just one game. Oh well, you play bad, you don't shoot well. You don't come back. The very next day or a day in between. You're gonna play again. You're gonna shoot great that game. So it's just, just flushing everything, washing it, and not dwelling on anything.
I want you to go a little bit deeper into Kyrie because he's a guy that has become a controversial player in the basketball,
Yeah.
Twitter, and social media world. And in my perspective, whatever person does off the court or whatever it might be, we can't necessarily judge it. I'm not in the locker room with him. I don't know exactly how that looks like, but whatever
Mm.
opinion might be based around him and his theology, his whatever might be, I think that for whatever reason, it's now impacted the way people view him as a player on the court, which I don't know how that makes sense in my opinion. I think that he still
Literally,
is an elite player, and I feel like he gets
no doubt.
disregarded. He gets talked about not enough. He doesn't get the respect he deserves because of whatever people's opinions are of him as a person and whatnot. So you're the guy though that's truly been in the locker room. You've talked to him. You've been with him. And we see on social media these people say, okay, Kyrie's a locker room cancer. He does this and the third. And I don't know how
Mhm.
people come up with that because they're not in the locker room, but you're the
Right,
guy with a
right.
true answer there. So can you talk us through that? Like, what is Kyrie Irving like in the locker room with you personally, just with the whole team, whatever it might be?
Yeah, Kyrie's like one of the guys, man. He's like one of the guys. He be cracking jokes and all that stuff. Obviously, it's a certain time and place when he's serious. We got a game, he's serious, or just serious that day, whenever. But Kyrie's just one of the guys, man. He's like my big brother. I be joking him, clowning him. He be doing the same thing. So it's really just he's like everybody in the locker room, bro. He's no different than everybody in the locker room. He clowns, jokes. He talks to everybody. He's just a great overall person. So I feel like people get what he believes and what he stands for mixed up with who he is as a real person,
Mhm.
as a father, as a husband, and all that stuff. So I feel like everybody really just gets that, mixed up. But he's just a great overall person, bro. I can't even stress that enough.
So whenever you guys are hanging out in the locker room, that could go for any guy on any of your teammates. Do you guys ever get into a thing where you guys just look at, okay, this is what people are talking to me about? You guys make jokes about it. You guys talk about the outside pressure that people are putting on you guys or the outside criticism. Do you guys ever talk about that type of stuff in the locker room?
Maybe, uh, maybe here and there for like his aspect, we'll probably laugh about it. But
Yeah.
no, we don't really talk about it. He just leaves that what it is. He don't pay no attention to it.
Mhm.
He comes in every day and expresses everything that's going on that day in the locker room or whatever's going on practice, whatever's going on with the game. So he really just like don't even speak on the media, and I don't speak on it either because I don't really listen to it. So I
Mhm.
really just try to like just stay present, stay in the moment, just try to like, just have fun as much as possible around him. So, he's just a great overall person. You know, you know, and I always cherish my time with him. Honestly, I can't even express that enough.
So if you got to give us your craziest Kevin Durant story and your craziest Kyrie Irving story about something they've done at practice, in a game, whatever it might be, what would you say that's those two stories are?
My craziest KD story was we played Detroit my rookie year. We played Detroit
Mhm.
my rookie year, and I was in rotation. I was playing, and I had a solid game, good game. But then I think he had like 40 or 50 that game, and I didn't even know. It was crazy. Like I really did not know he had that many points. And then
Mm.
like I was walking to the side, he was joking with me, clowning me. And then I looked up, I was like, oh, hey, you got 50 for real? It was just crazy. I never knew he had that many points. And then in Kai's aspect, it was just I'd probably say I'd probably say our Toronto game this past year when he hit the game
Mm.
winner. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was locked in that game. He was making everything, pull ups, threes, and then he got the ball in the game. Because I think that was my first time seeing somebody actually hit a game winner other than me in
Mhm.
person. So that's really a cool thing to look at.
So you're 2 years into your career now, and you've been through a lot of wild stuff. Now, I know a lot of guys have been through trades or whatever that are also young, but we're talking about trades that people are going to always talk about. You go through your first year, James Harden, he gets dealt. You guys added another star, Ben Simmons. He comes in. Then you guys head into the next season, and Kevin Durant does his trade request throughout the offseason. Kyrie Irving gets suspended. You guys have a coaching change. Both those guys then get dealt out. You guys have Bridges and then Cam Johnson and Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith and those guys come into the team. Like, this has been a crazy past 2 years, and you're still just trying to get adapted to the NBA, but you have had change after change after change after just all kinds of craziness going on. How have you dealt with all of this stuff that's gone down throughout your first 2 years in the league?
Yeah, just staying in my lane and staying present, bro. Just worrying about what I, just controlling what I can control. Because if I try to control other things, then I'm getting off my path. So really, just it's crazy because if you look at it, I'm probably the second longest 10-year player on the Nets behind Claxton. So if you look at it like that, so it's really just trying to stay present as much as I can, and just focusing on myself and focus on what I can control as far as my game off the court, whatever. So whatever we got going on around, that's just whatever else they got going on. But as long as I can control what I can control, then I'm all good with me.
When you go through a streak and you had a little bit of a display during your rookie season, but especially this past year when you had your 40-game streak and you had many other outcomes where you came out and you balled out, and then you go the next game and you're off the bench, and then you go the next game and you might not even play, then you go and you play 2 minutes here and there. I mean, I don't know about you, and that's what I kind of want to ask you about, but I know I'd be probably a little bit irritated. Now, that would not be the easiest thing to deal with, knowing that, I just put up this kind of numbers against this team. Sure, I got stuff to improve on. I know that, of course, no one's perfect, but I know I can play at least in this rotation. Has that been something that's caused you a little bit of stress? Has it maybe made you a little bit question yourself, or how have you dealt with the ups and downs of minutes in the NBA so far?
Yeah, I never really questioned myself, but it's just me being irritated, showing that, okay, I proved time and time again that I'm an NBA player. I can play in a rotation consistently, whether it's starting, coming off the bench, whatever. As far as my rookie year, I showed, when everybody was out, even though we was losing because, everybody was hurt and stuff, I showed I could play. I averaged like 18 that month. And then this past year, averaging like 30 in a month, just really just showing that I can play on this level, and I know I know that I can contribute to a team no matter what. So, obviously you get irritated after a while, but at the end of the day, just try to control what you control. Like I said before, that's the only thing you can do. You can't really worry about that. The coach calls your number that game. You call your number that game. You got to be ready, no matter what. You got to lock in, find no matter like whatever you do, you got to be ready that game. So that's really the main thing.
Jacques Vaughn was a coach during the 40-game streak, and he's obviously talked about different things, improve on defense, facilitate the ball a little bit more, whatever it might be. I have to imagine you guys have had a couple of conversations at least, we go and ask him, what can I do to get better, what not. How do the conversations go? And maybe even on a bigger scale now as you head into your year 3 and there's a whole offseason training camp upcoming and whatnot. What does he want from you so that you can get the minutes that you deserve and that you want?
Yeah, I guess that's something for me to see this year. Obviously that's a conversation we gotta have. Year 3 is a pivotal year for anybody in their career. So, I feel like that's just a conversation that we're gonna have eventually, just knowing what he wants from me, knowing what I can provide for the team this year. No matter what it is, I just want to, put my best foot forward and keep working hard at it and just, show that I can be a consistent player in a rotation no matter what. And I feel like I have shown that no matter what. So like whatever happens, happens. I just want to control what I can control.
I'm not saying this is going to be the opportunity, and maybe we'll never know this, but we saw the opportunity you've had and what you do with it. If you were to have the ball in your hands the whole game, you're the guy for a whole season, 82-game season, how much do you think you're averaging?
Ball in my hand, 25, no doubt. Easy. 25, no doubt, easy. And that's just me knowing my ability and knowing what I can bring every night. Because I feel like, because I see like the little stats on Twitter, some games, they be like, when Canton plays this certain amount of minutes, he averages 30, or he plays, this amount of games with this amount of minutes, he averages 25. So I feel like if I have the ability to play with the ball in my hand, make the decisions, all that stuff, I feel like I can average 25 points a game easy, no doubt.
We introed in talking about the offseason. What exactly have you keyed in on? What are you looking to improve on, get better on as you head into year 3 now?
Yeah, as far as on the court, I just want to keep working on everything. You can never be too good at something on the court, but really just, the shooting aspect of it. Obviously, I can shoot, but you can never be too good at shooting. You always got to work on your shooting. So that's really the main thing. But really, I really focused on like off the court, getting my body right, being in better shape, better condition, because that's a big thing in the league. If you're in the best shape, then you can it gives you an extra step. So that's really a big thing for me. I really focused on like the off the court aspect this off season. So that's really the main thing.
when we evaluate the Brooklyn Nets in 2023, 2024, it's a lot different than the past two seasons. And it's
Yeah,
honestly, in my opinion, I almost consider you guys like a mystery team. Like, we don't necessarily
yeah,
know what to expect. Like, we
yeah,
see what McCall Bridges did, but at the same time, it's hard to say what a guy does through half a season if that's sustainable. If it's not, whatever. It's like it's hard to evaluate that. We don't know what Cam Johnson's capable of. You're another player.
sure.
Ben Simmons hasn't played consistently basketball for about two and a half, 3 years, whatever it might have been now. Nick Claxton, I think, could have another massive jump. And then you guys have some guys. I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie, you know what he's capable of. Royce O'Neal, Dorian Finney-Smith, and so on and so forth. How do you feel this team's looking so far, man? I know you guys haven't had training camp yet, but I'm sure you probably
Yeah,
still
yeah.
talk with some of the guys, seen some of them. How do you feel about this team heading into the year?
I feel good about it. Obviously, like you said, we're kind of like a mystery team. Like we
Mhm.
don't really know our identity because that team that we got together was like midway through the year. Like we were just playing, playing off the fly really. So we didn't really have a training camp with us, not really practicing because it's games all the time. So we didn't really have a
Sure.
chance to go through a training camp, get our identity, know what we want to do offensively, defensively. So I feel like everything was just kind of like thrown together in that aspect, and we just had to play as best as we could, and we did. Honestly, getting the 6 seed, playing Philly. Obviously we wanted a better result, but
Mhm.
that just is what it is. We was going through a total culture change, so I feel like this training camp will be able to identify what we want to be as a team and who we are as a team. So I feel like that's really the main thing.
So what's the difference between these two teams? You have a team that's expected to win a championship, lots of veterans on the team,
Yeah,
just a couple young guys. This team has a lot more young guys. Now, obviously, I know not everyone's super young, but you guys are still
yeah,
overall,
yeah.
generally speaking, young. It's not rebuilding young, but still have some veterans. But just not necessarily even on the court. I just mean locker room aspects. What's the difference between the two different teams?
Honestly, nothing really. It was kind of like the
Mm,
same thing. It was great vibes in the locker room before, because those guys were great guys. We was always laughing and joking. Even in this locker room, everybody's laughing and joking,
mm,
and then that's really the main thing. But as far as expectations, I feel like everybody, with when you have KD, Kyrie, James, or KD and Kyrie, everybody's expecting you to get to the playoffs and win a championship. As far as with this team, nobody's really expecting us to win a championship. So we're kind of
mhm.
flying under the radar now as a team. But I feel like, if we put the work in, we identify our identity as a team, then we can really like know and like know who we are, and we can push to be a better team, down the long road. So that's really a big thing.
So who's the funniest guy in the locker room then?
Funniest guy in the locker room. Uh, I had a lot of funny guys in the locker room. Danny Johnson was funny. Javon Carter was funny. My boy Ed Sumner was funny. But I
Mm.
think this year, Dayron's funny. Dayron's funny to me. I be laughing at Dayron. So Dayron's funny. So I feel like that's really the funny guy this year. But I never know. Anybody can be funny. You got to get
Mhm.
around guys more and know who they are and just get to know them a little bit. So I got to see. But right now, for me and who I've been around, Dayron's the funniest guy in the locker room for sure.
So have you been able to hang out with any of these guys during the off season? Like I said, I know Ben's been in the middle of rehabbing some stuff and whatnot, but have you been able to be around you guys? Have you guys worked out much together? If so, which guys have you been with the most so far?
Yeah, the only thing, I think the one time we all went out to Vegas for the summer league, some of us
Yeah.
went out there. That's really the only time. But everybody's doing their own thing. So
Hmm.
so I feel like the only time I've really been around the guys was in Vegas, and then coming up soon, we're all gonna be together, be back in New York soon. So you just gotta get ready for that. I can't wait to see everybody.
All right, so last guy I want to get into before I let you go is Ben, and he's obviously a guy that
Yeah.
we've seen as a guy that's the best defender in the NBA. We've seen him as a guy as an
Hmm.
All NBA caliber player, All Star. The past couple of years, I can tell it's not been what he wants. It's not what the team wants. It's all that stuff. It's been injuries. It's been all kinds of stuff going on. We've heard a lot of different rumors kind of coming out now saying, okay, he's pretty much healthy. He expects to be the best he's been, fully healthy, whatnot. What do you think he's capable of? And also at the same time, he's in a way similar to the situation Kyrie. I wouldn't say as much so, but still a
Yeah.
lot of people from the outside are judging the inside with him. What
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
Ben Simmons like as a player, as a person, and also as a player? And what's your expectations for him this upcoming season now?
Ben is just a great person overall. He's like my locker mate in a real arena. So we sit beside each other. We have good
Mm-hmm.
conversations. I like Ben. And then on the court, Ben is who he was before all the injuries and all the Philly stuff. You know, All Star. First. Second team All NBA, third team All NBA, all whatever that is. First team All Defense, second team All Defense, all that stuff. So I feel like Ben still has that potential. Obviously, he's been rough, been hurt. So, we can't really judge him for real. And then when he came back, he really solid a whole year technically. So,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to judge him. So I feel like, this upcoming year he'll be back, he'll be better. and I feel like he'll really help us as a team. So I can't wait to see Ben back to who he was before everything.
For this year to be a success for yourself as a team, what needs to happen for that to happen, and what are the successful goals? Like, what's your goals for personal goals, and what's your also goals for the team?
Yeah, goals for the team. I just want us to, get better every day. It is a whole new team. So, we just want to build every day, step by step, whether we are in a funk, lose a streak, stay
Mhm,
together and keep playing. And if we're winning, stay together and keep building on it. And then just goals for myself, I just want to just keep improving, you know,
mhm.
and obviously, be in a rotation more and
Yeah,
play and have a real role this year. Obviously, being in year 3, I want a real role this year, and just want to keep improving, but really just keep improving on myself as a person, on and off the court. So that's really the main goal for me.
absolutely, man. Well, Cam, I appreciate taking time to come on today. I'm excited to see what
No
God's got in
problem.
store for you this next year too, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Likewise.
All right,
Thanks
man.
for having me on.
Of course, you're always welcome on, man. God bless, bro.
God bless.